One of the more frequently asked questions I get in regards to Hypixel SKYBLOCK is what items people should buy or simply what they should spend their money on. As crazy as it seems, spending money can be pretty tricky at times because there are so many things you can purchase inside of the game that most people don't even know what's worth it anymore. So, that's why I've decided to create this video, covering some of the more later game things you can aim for, specifically on the more expensive side of things. But before we do go any further, I'd like to quickly say that if you have any further questions or comments about this video, be sure to pop into my Twitch streams. I stream every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The links are down in the description below. We tend to have a lot of open discussions over there, so I highly recommend checking it out. With that being said, let's get right into the video. Alrighty, so as you can see in today's video, we're going to be covering spending money, what you can buy, what you shouldn't buy, sort of just more of a guide type video for people who don't really know what to spend their money on. But with that being said, let's get straight into the first thing, and that's just going to be a higher skill average. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you don't know already inside of the game, when you open up your Skyblock menu, of course you have all these skills you can shoot for. Now, I would recommend trying to get your skill average so that it's higher than above 25 or so. So if I just open up my stats really quickly here, you should be able to see with this profile viewing mod that I have, that you can see that all of my skills here are somewhere in the 30s, so 31 taming, 30 foraging, of course, we got farming, combat, and then we've got alchemy, all in the 30 range, and then for carpentry, which isn't really a skill that you really count at all, mining, and then fishing. So some of the harder skills I have got leveled up a lot lower because I haven't really got minions for them, nor have I put too much effort into leveling them up either. But what my point is if we go to this tab over here, as you can see, it says that my average skill level right now is 28.5. So I've got a pretty decent average skill level. For someone at my stage in the game, it's pretty solid. I could go for something like Alchemy 50, which would get me a much higher skill average, as when you have one level 50 skill, that boosts all the others' average score, of course, because that's an outlier, and that just makes it look better on your profile. But that's one thing you can definitely go for. Normally, I would recommend doing that for Alchemy and for Enchanting, because both of these skills are basically just based on how much money you have. And if you have a lot of money to spend on grand experience bottles, you could do Enchanting. If you've got a lot of money to spend on Cane or Fermented Eyes, you can do Alchemy. But every other skill in this list isn't really based on how much money you have, but rather how much time you're willing to dedicate to the game, especially with things like mining and fishing, which take a lot of effort to level up. So let's just say that you've either got a really good average skill level already, and most of the things that you're going to go for require a lot of grinding, or you simply just don't want to spend the money on all those things because it's a little bit too expensive and you want to get something that you feel like is of more value. My next recommendation would be to go for really good damaging pets. If I open my pet menu right now, I've actually got a lot of pets here. I just go for a high pet score, as you can see, currently with a 150 pet score, which is pretty solid, but I would definitely get your hands on something like a level 100 legendary with a skeleton pet, because these are going to come in really handy later on in the game. I've also got myself like a parrot pet because this is just good for splashes, and I've got myself a decent foraging pet, another decent damaging pet, which is my golem here, and I could just go on down the list with all the other pets that I have, but mainly a solid damaging pet, because if you want to be doing dragons, if you want to be doing anything dungeon related, anything that requires a lot of damage, a good damaging pet is going to come in really handy, especially like a wither skeleton, because these things are really cheap. They're like 18 mil on bin on the auction house, and 18 mil for a pretty decent endgame player isn't that much. You can see that I've actually got 104 million sitting in my purse right now, but I will get to that later on in the video as to why I have all that. But my point is that 18 million isn't too expensive, but it's also not too cheap either, and it is a very worthwhile investment, because once you get your hands on something like this, you can use this with a skeleton pet to do a lot of dragons, you can use it to do golems, and basically what my point is that you can leech a lot of dragons to get high placements, maybe even leech boots and helmets, and that can be a really decent source of income, all because you've got really good gear, a really solid pet, paired with anything else that you have as well. The next point I want to cover, also relating to pets, isn't just a high damaging pet, but just other pets that you feel like are going to be really useful, or maybe sort of like more leisure type pets, and I covered that just before, and it's going to be something like a parrot pet. So a parrot pet is really helpful. I went for a legendary one, even though legendary is completely useless. I went for one because I just like the look of a legendary pet. But the main reason to have a pet like a parrot is just for this perk here that says repeat, boosts potion durations by 37.6%, and that actually scales up the more you level it up. And the reason why this is such a great pet is because if you go for a lot of god splashes, it's going to increase the time of those potions by a significant amount, and just having that as a whole is going to be very helpful for any events you want to do, whether it be spooky, whether you go for dragon parties, whether you do anything at all. A parrot pet is going to be very helpful for drinking potions or for getting them splashed onto you. And same goes for things like the black cat pet. This thing's going to increase your magic find and pet luck, really helpful to just farm in general. It gives you some speed as well, and it also lets you go higher than the speed cap that you already have. So once again, both of these are very expensive pets, pets, they go for more than about 15 mil on the auction house. Pretty sure black cats go for about 15, 16, and then parrot pets can go anywhere from 18 to 20 mil. So once again, pretty solid recommendation. I would get your hands on one of those if you don't really have anything to spend your money on and you feel like you could do better with these pets, and they'll boost your Skyblock gameplay in one way or another. Now my next point for this video is going to be to get yourself a better armor set. So this seems pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory, but a lot of people don't actually do this and I don't know why. But people might be stuck around maybe the 20-30 mil mark and they think, ooh, I've got so much money, what should I do with it? Well, what I would say is rather than spending that 20-30 mil on say a decent pet or whatever, if you feel like you need it more, go for a much better armor set. So the superior armor set is very expensive, you guys will know. It's about 60 to 70 mil depending on what the prices are looking like and how much the pieces are going for. But if you get your hands on this full set of superior armor, you enchant it with all the enchantments you want, you hot potato it, deck it out completely, you're going to be well off for pretty much late game or end game as a whole, as this set is really helpful. You can even upgrade it into a dungeon gear if you do play a lot of dungeons later down the line and you get the required catacombs level. But get yourself a really good armor set and also a really good weapon like this fabled AOTD that I've got here. I recombobulated mine because it has almost every single maxed enchant except for sharpness 6 and giant killer 6. I also threw on a music rune 3 just to make it even cooler of a weapon, and now I have a very nice sword, a very nice armor set as well, and I'm looking pretty solid for all these things. So I feel like that's another really good investment of your money if you do feel like it's going to benefit you in the long run and you want to be doing that as well. So now that I've covered a bunch of items you can just buy straight up, being armor sets, pets, weapons, all those kind of things, I'm going to get into sort of like the more boring type of items or things you can go for, but something that I would definitely recommend you do because it's going to really benefit you in the long run, and it's going to let you go for even more expensive items as such, and that's going to be to reinvest all of your money into things that will make you money. So as you can see, I've got about 100 million coins in my purse right now. Now, I could have more money in my purse if it weren't for a couple of purchases that I made, being my wither skeleton pet and also my elephant pet right over here. So both of these pets cost me a lot of money. I spent 17.2 million for this elephant pet and I've already leveled it up to level 49, and I ended up spending about 16.5 million on this wither skeleton pet as it was maxed out and all ready to go. Now the reason for that, you may be asking, is, well, why would I be doing that? Why do I need a decent wither skeleton pet? Why did I go for an elephant pet? Well, if I go back to my island really quickly, I also ended up building a 5th farm at the bottom of my just giant set of farms on my island here, being a mix of both potatoes and carrots, as you can see. And the reason why I've done this is because my goal right now is to earn a lot of money through different means, and I felt like farming was going to be one way that I really want to go for because I care about my farming level. I feel like it's going to be really good for me and it's something that I just enjoy doing as a whole. So I built myself another farm here. I bought myself an elephant pet to help me get more crops with it, and I'm going to be able to just come along and farm for as many hours as I choose to. And I feel like in the long run, if I use this pet, which boosts my farming crops, I'm going to be able to earn back that money really nicely, very quickly as well. And sooner than later, it'll end up breaking even. The cost of the elephant pet will be broken with the amount of crops that I've farmed, and I should be in the profit zone where all that I'm making right now is in profit, and the elephant pet was a very great investment, and it'll just come out a great purchase overall to earn even more money than what I had in the past. And then to cover my wither skeleton pet, the reason why I bought this bad boy was simply because I do plan on doing a lot of dragons in the near future, as one of my other goals right now is going for a dragon pet. Now I will cover that a little bit later on in the video, but essentially because I decided to buy this thing, I'm able to do a lot more damage on golems, dragons, any kind of bosses or anything at all. And being a guy that does get warped into end lobbies pretty frequently and also does a lot of these mini bosses, having that damage capability is really useful because it lets me leech a lot of fragments, lets me leech a lot of crystal frags, whatever it may be, and I can sell all those for more profit in the long run, and that too will also break even for my wither skeleton pet, and overall it'll become a profit gain, and I'll be able to be in the clear with the amount of money I earn, and I would have earned all that money back, and I'll still be earning money with that pet. So those are just some examples that I have of my own with the pets that I decided to buy, which ended up costing me around 30 mil in total. But another thing that you can do that's really easy and simple is you can just invest all your money into something like the bazaar by making massive buy orders of random items, whether it be like normal mob drops such as rotten flesh, bones, strings, spider eyes, whatever it may be. As long as it's got really high volumes, which means that there's a lot of insta sells and insta buys, you should be able to set up a lot of buy orders, and that'll allow you to mass buy all these items, and then you'll be able to just mass sell them all for just a pretty decent profit, and that just scales up over time with the more money you have. So we've talked about buying items like pets, swords, armor pieces, whatever that may be. We've talked about reinvesting your money to make more money, which all are very good uses of your coins that you earn in this game. But one thing that I haven't covered is going for long-term goals or shooting for really big projects regardless of how ambiguous they are. And that's going to be things like what I'm doing, which is going for like a dragon pet. So as you guys may know, dragon pets are very expensive, and I wouldn't have thought that I would have been able to get this far just by thinking about it, because you go, oh, what is that, like 200 million for an epic one? And if you want to get a tier boost that costs you even more, that's really expensive, and that'll take a lot of time depending on how you play the game. However, if you play things smart, you earn some money, you learn ways to make money, and you dedicate enough time to the game to do so, sooner than later you'll end up with pretty decent amounts of money in your purse, like I have on the right hand side. I've got 104 million coins, and most of that has been invested into other means of money, and eventually that'll all come out in a very nice lump sum of coins when I'm able to earn all that money back with the things that I've bought, and eventually I will be able to reach my goal of that dragon pet, and I'll be happy that I ended up doing so, because it's just an item that I've been wanting to go for so long. So I thought to myself, what am I waiting for? We'll go and get it now, rather than sort of thinking, oh, maybe when I get better at the game or whatever, if I sell some items and stuff, I'll be able to get it in the near future. And for the last thing that you can spend your coins on, if none of these things appeal to you, you don't want to do anything of these things at all, you don't feel like putting in the work for an expensive item, you don't feel like putting in the work or just buying items like a good sword, a good armor set, you don't want to get pets, you don't want to reinvest any of your money, that's totally cool. If you want, instead, you can go for things like maybe even a meme set. So I've covered this in a previous video, but currently I had this really wacky armor set in my wardrobe, consisting of farmer boots, stereo pants, a guardian chestplate, and then a rabbit hat. So I've actually dyed this set white. My texture pack just replaces the guardian chestplate with a different texture, but if I put on this set, you can see that it's very weird. It looks very interesting, and it's definitely not something that you'll see every day. But if you really want to, and you just want to spend your money on useless items because you think it'll be fun, it'll bring you joy in this game, go for maybe maxing out something like this. Maybe buy yourself some wacky items, get growth 6, prot 6, I don't know, do what you want, spend some money on things that you think you will enjoy, things that you think will be worth your time, because at the end of the day, Skyblock is a game, there's coins in it of course, but the currency doesn't really mean anything, there's nothing that will affect you in real life, you can always earn them back, as long as you put in the effort, use different strategies, and overall you should be able to earn your coins back regardless of the situation. And I feel like going for a meme set is just something, if you want to do it, go for it. I've got one myself, which I will probably end up maxing out at some point or another, but I will stick with my superior set for the meantime, as it's definitely a much stronger armor set in the game currently. And with all that being said, that's pretty much going to wrap up today's video. So in a nutshell, just to recap, if you want to spend your money on things in Skyblock, you can always go for a higher skill average, you can go for some decent items like a very solid sword, a very good armor set, maybe get yourself a nice damaging pet, or anything of those sorts. You can always reinvest your money to make more money, because then you might go for a more expensive item. You can spend your money on silly items, go for a meme set, go for maybe some runes, enchant some stuff that you don't really care about, or just overall just have fun. Like, these things that I've listed in this video are not definitive by any means. You don't have to go out and do anything that I say. This is merely just a guide for people who don't really know what to do with their money and feel like they needed some help spending it, I guess. And hopefully I was able to do that with this video, and if I did, then it's really just the goal that I had in mind, and that's all I really wanted to achieve. So with all that being said, that's going to be it for me today, guys. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel, because I make these Hypixel SKYBLOCK videos every Wednesdays and Fridays. And also, if you've got any further questions or comments about this video, be sure to pop into my Twitch streams. I stream every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The links are down in the description below. But with all that being said, guys, hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. And as always, take care and peace. Who's this with? Some girl you met at a party, or like?
No.
Oh, so it's a guy.
That was so well placed.